My Cultural Connections project is with a teacher named Mindy Canoe. I met him through ePals. He's from Sierra Leone. I've enjoyed getting to know him over the past 2 months and have really connected with him and his class. He started a school called the Children's Foundation of Technology with the help of a third grade teacher in Ohio named Adam Beard. Together, he and Adam Beard have built 2 schools, and Adam financially supports Mindy through some work that he does at his school in Ohio by raising vegetables and herbs and spices and a lot of different things and then selling them at a local farmer's market. It's grown just really big over the last 4 or 5 years, and they actually won a national award called the Levy Award. And I've actually collaborated some with Adam and his class too in Ohio. So out of this connection, I've actually, made 2 connections, one in Ohio and one in Sierra Leone. So now to the details of my project. I focused mostly on Mindy's classroom in Sierra Leone. He has about 40 to 50 students packed into a small cinder block school. They have 1 laptop for 50 students, so it was difficult. I'll talk more about that. And my classes ranged anywhere from 6th, 7th, and 8th graders between 2 schools. I've done a little bit with both, and it has just exploded, and I'm very excited about it. So we started by doing some research through a hyperdoc that I created, where the students just explored Sierra Leone and looked at some cultural things and read a few articles and just did a whole lot in this hyperdoc just to get some background knowledge before we ever hooked up with Mindy's class. So after they worked through the hyperdoc, we then Skyped with Mindy and his students and had a question and answer session where my students had previously written 10 to 12 questions that they wanted answered from the research that they had done. So the first 2 or 3 Skype sessions were question and answers. They asked us questions and we asked them questions. And after we did that, we decided we wanted to meet each other to become pen pals. His students did not have laptops or email addresses, which made it very difficult. So I created a hyperdoc and taught Mindy how to do that, how to use a Google Doc, because we had to have a platform where we could communicate without them having laptops or emails. So the Google Doc allowed us to do that. My students all got on at the same time, typed in their introductions, included a picture, and then we waited for Mindy's students to reply to and put in their introductions. And then we read over those, and then they also clicked a link on that Google Doc to Flipgrid and did a verbal video of themselves with basically the same information. But what this allowed was it allowed us to read their information first and then watch the video, because they have such a strong accent, it was hard for us to understand. So by reading it first, we were then able to understand them better, and vice versa, because I'm sure they thought the same thing about us. So it was really fun to read about them and then see them in person and then make replies on Flipgrid. So Mindy has now learned 2 things. He learned how to use a Google Doc, and we taught them how to do Flipgrid. Let's see. So after several Skype sessions, my students have immediately fallen in love with Mindy and his students, and they decided that they wanted to donate $300 so that Mindy could go to the capital of Freetown and purchase a tablet that he could use with his students. So we wired him $300 through my personal account, and he was able to go to Freetown and get 1 tablet so that he could be more mobile with his interactions with us. Before, the laptop had to stay plugged in his classroom, so he couldn't really do a lot outside of the cinder block building. But now he has the tablet and he could go out into the community, and it was really amazing what he did with us. So the day that he got the tablet, he Skyped with us and he wanted us to see him open the box, and his students were all going crazy, so excited. And that day when we were Skyping, he walked outside of the school building and he wanted us to see all the stone breaking that was going on, because my students had read about it in some of their research and had asked him questions. So he took the tablet, went outside in the community and scanned and showed us all the people that were breaking stone. And he actually had a few locals walk up to him and he interviewed them for us with our questions. And my students were just very moved to find out that they were breaking the stone in the heat with very little water, very little food, and no shoes. And it just drove my students to want to know more and how they could make a difference. So that was, the Skype sessions led to that. And then outside of the Skype, we decided, what could we do more with this? I wanted my students to do something with writing. So we decided to show Mindy, I myself at night taught Mindy what a two-voice poem was. We Skyped at night as teachers, and I taught him about a two-voice poem, and he loved the idea. So then the next day we went into class, we Skyped again, so we were on Skype. We also pulled up our Google Doc that I had created for a template to use for the two-voice poem. And my students have already been instructed about a two-voice poem. So they were writing on the left-hand side. We decided to do one as a class. So I had several students putting in information on the American side, and then we left the middle blank, and then Mindy and 4 of his students were working together to put in the Sierra Leonean side. And we decided for our two-voice poem to focus on the struggles that we may have, or the typical day in the life of an American and a Sierra Leonean, and our struggles. So, for example, like on the left side, my student put, we wake up each morning with air condition or heat depending on the season. And then Mindy started typing, we wake up each morning in a mud hut and have to start our mile hike to fetch clean water. When my students saw this happening in real time, they were moved to tears. So it was a very moving experience to see this poem taking place right before their eyes with real people. After we did the two-voice poem, it tended to be a little lengthy for a poem, so my students are going to take that and use it more as an informational piece and then create the two-voice poem themselves without Skyping. After that, this is an ongoing project, so I want to begin next year with the idea, the same group of kids I'll teach again because I'm the gifted teacher. So my kids will come in next year and we'll start learning about water and disparities across the world, how many people don't have clean drinking water. And I want to start something called the Water Project, where they're going to do a fundraiser and go 14 days without drinking anything but water, and the money they would have spent, they collect in water bottles, and the money would go to Mindy and his school. But in the meantime, while they're doing this, they're going to learn about water filters and do a STEM project of creating a water filter using only everyday materials. So I'll do these things with my AIG students, and then the most exciting part is that on September 22nd, Mindy is coming to the United States because of this national award he and Adam won through their work. And I've talked to Adam, and I am going to be able to host Mindy in North Carolina from September 22nd to September 30th, and he'll be able to speak to both of my schools and my students. So Mindy will be coming to my classrooms, meeting my students, and we'll present our water filter projects to him and some other poetry that we wrote, and he'll get to interact and speak to the schools. I'm very excited. So this project is not going to be ending anytime soon. We learned lots of lessons. I think the students walked away with compassion. They walked away with lots of technology skills. They did a lot of reading, writing, and research. As far as educational lessons that I've learned, I would like to start this over again with a new group of students with a clear objective and some clear goals. When I started it this year, it was just fun and exciting, and I didn't really know my end in mind, but now I do, so that's what I would change. The technology tools we used were Google Docs, we used Skype, we used Facebook Messenger, we used Flipgrid, we used Prezi, we used Padlet. We did lots of things along the way to get this going. So very good project. I was very excited. I currently have been reading the technology, the Triple E framework, and I think that this met all the guidelines with engagement, enhancement, and extension. So I just can't wait to make it even better. Thanks.